field goal, so
I'm
that's
so happy.
We don't call for second time and this is celebration now. The next time. Oh, yeah.
Good evening. I'd like to call the village board to order. It is 7:47.
Yep.
Has this meeting been properly noticed?
The meeting has been posted and noticed according to law.
Thank you. And all trustees are present except trustee Maher and trustee Bachhorst, who are excused. Tonight we'll start the agenda with the special order of business. 4A, consider resolution 2018-21 in the matter of authorizing an exception to the levy limits for changes for the North Shore Fire Department pursuant to 2005 Wisconsin Act 484. Do we have the chief here? Welcome, chief.
Evening. So the resolution in front of you for this issue, this item, is a issue that even if the village does not utilize the state allowed levy cap exemption for the fire department increase in costs, the other communities, if they wish to use it, need all 7 communities that are members of the fire department to pass the resolution. So it doesn't bind you to use the exemption. It allows the 7 member communities to potentially use it if they wish to use it. So it's be clear about that because I think can be confusing how the language is written.
Does anybody have any questions? And just to clarify, we will not be using it. I mean, we're doing this for the other communities?
I don't know what you're doing. Yeah. But I know there are some communities that would like to use it.
Because they've reached their levy limit?
Right.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll move to approve resolution number 1805, recommending governing bodies and member municipalities of the North Shore Fire Department pass a resolution. Should I just say the whole name of the resolution?
Yes, please. That's easiest.
Okay. Why you had to write such a long title? Okay.
2005, before my time. I didn't write it.
Recommending the governing bodies of the member municipalities of the North Shore Fire Department pass a resolution allowing an option for the member municipalities of the North Shore Fire Department an exception to the levy limits for charges to the North Shore Fire Department pursuant to 2005 Wisconsin Act 484.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in, we're going to do a roll call.
Trustee Amendment.
Aye.
Trustee Warren.
Aye.
Trustee Carpenter.
Aye.
Trustee McKay. Aye. President Rosette.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. The next order of business is for B, consider resolution 2018-2020, approving the single or multi-year capital budget to purchase a water tender and 2 ambulances for 2019, 2020, and 2021. Chief.
So a little history on this as to why we do it this way. There are 4 components of contributions to the fire department. One is our operating budget, which generally is included, normally is included in your operating budget as a contribution. That is a separate matter. There is capital, an annual capital contribution, which is a small amount of money for small capital projects, small vehicles, things like that. Then there's debt service, which is generally used to pay off buildings. And then the 4th component is this, which you have in front of you tonight. So we use this component to purchase larger vehicles that we cycle through in our fleet. We have a 20-year replacement program or a 20-year capital plan for fleet vehicles. So we plan out about 3 to 5 years in advance. We then come back and it's a separate resolution or separate action by governing bodies to approve this part of our budget, separate from the independent or separate from those other parts of the budget. So over the next 3 years, your capital contribution between the the 7 municipalities is about $450,000, and we use that to replace rolling stock. So our rolling stock is our ambulances, fire engines, ladder trucks, and the water tenders. So the water tenders are used most commonly in areas without fire hydrants. So we have some of those in the communities we serve. And the ambulances, those are pretty much our workhorses of our fleet. So we cycle through ambulances. They're on a 7-year replacement cycle. The water tender is a 20-year replacement cycle. So that is budgeted for the 3 years. This is a continuing, I don't believe, and it depends how you work in your budget locally, but there were contributions prior to this that are about the same amount, so it's not a spike in your contribution. It is consistent, it's renewed every 3 years.
Anybody have any questions? I am just in the North Shore, when we were at the board meeting, I had asked, even though we're on this regular maintenance schedule because we're dealing with this in our budget, what is the condition of the vehicles?
Right.
And can you just repeat?
Sure.
And the
Sure.
mileage was over
Yeah,
the
it's in
standard?
our packet.
But I think.
So, the water tender is, it's 1994, so it's actually our oldest vehicle in our fleet currently. It's the only vehicle that remains from prior to the 7th community consolidation in 1995. And that, those vehicles are, they're carrying 3,000 gallons of water, so they have a lot of hard road miles when they do get out on the road. They don't move real fast, but when they roll, they roll. And they're probably, in our industry, the most dangerous vehicles we operate that we own. There's a significantly high number of crashes involving these type of vehicles throughout the country because they generally are kept for a long period of time because they're not used a lot, and they also have a lot of weight when you have 3,000 gallons of water sloshing around on the road. The ambulances, those would replace, I don't have the memo right in front of me, but they're 10 plus years old, and so we like to keep our vehicles, our ambulances, they get a lot of miles on them, they get a lot of miles quick, and we like to roll them through and keep them frontline service for 7 years, and then keep them as we keep 2 extra ambulances because we do have to keep periodic maintenance, we have breakdowns, we have surge and calls for service. So both these vehicles, our ambulances, we pretty much can predict when they're going to be done, just because we know how that mileage adds up and where they're going.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? If none, do we have a motion?
I'll move resolution number 1804, approving single or multi-year capital budget to purchase a water tender and 2 ambulances for 2019, 2020, and 2021.
I'll second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll take a roll call vote.
Trustee Amanda.
Aye.
Trustee Warren.
Aye.
Trustee Carpenter.
Aye.
Trustee McKay.
Yes.
President Rosen.
Yes. Thank you. Motion passes 5-0. The next order of business is to consider Resolution 2018-2022 approving the 2019 North Shore Fire Department fees for service schedule. Chief.
So this is an annual action that we send back, the fire department board sends back to each municipality. About just short of $2 million in our budget is revenue from fees for service. So primarily, or I should say the vast majority of that is EMS fees for service, so responding to EMS calls, transporting people to the hospital, those type of services. So that's a vast majority in this. There's also a small amount of money for permits and fire inspections that is related to this budget line. In the specific fee itself, the agreement between the 7 municipalities requires us going to ordinance, your local ordinance, so that's why the board needs to adopt this. 5 of 7 need to approve it for it to be put into effect. This wouldn't go in effect until January 1, but we try to tie it to our budget because we need to project our revenues to tie it back to our budget. So the EMS or the medical side, those fees are, the request is to increase those at 2.85%. That is the medical CPI for the previous 12-month cycle that we run our revenue on, or our projections on for this. And that's something that, other than 1 year, over the past 5 or so years, we've used that as our basis for our increase.
What was it this year? What's the,
2.85%.
for the medical CPI?
Right, so that's a blend of the medical care CPI and medical commodity CPI, and then it's those two are average, and that's what it is, 2.85.
And do you raise your fees by your medical average usually every year?
We do, unless there's a revenue need. So for 2018, we had a revenue gap, and the board elected to make that up by raising fees higher than the CPI. For 2018, the fee increase was, I believe it was 15% for EMS fees. And we do look at our area, what other municipalities and providers are doing. We don't want to be high or low, we try to stay in the middle. And then we also have to look at what is the custom and usual or usual and customary payments from the insurance companies too. With those, so one of the concerns that usually comes up is the Medicare. So we sort of have an understanding of how this works is, you'll see in our fees for service, if you have it's an advanced life support call, which is like a life-threatening call for service, we take you to the hospital, that fee will probably run somewhere around $1,000 with mileage and the supplies and all that. Medicare, which is probably almost 60% of our patients that we see are Medicare, they will pay a cut, just a flat rate. So they will not pay that full $1,000. They will pay us about probably $485 to $500 for that service, and we cannot go after the difference from them. Whereas private insurance is a little different. So with our vast majority of our patients being Medicare, we show that we bill out this huge amount of money, but our revenue is really a lot less than that. So we do have a hardship program for people that cannot afford to pay. There's a program that they can enroll in. We do a financial analysis, two-page worksheet they have to fill out, and then there's a decision made as to what their ability to pay is. So we do have a program.
Great. Is there any specific fee that you want to pull out? Just that one?
So there's the one new fee in there is a lift assist fee, and so we do get about, I think it's 400 calls or thereabouts a year for people who've fallen and can't get up, and they don't need transport to the hospital, but a lot of these people are repeat people, and we try to educate and prevent, and some people work with us, and some people just say, no, I'm going to keep calling. We also have some facilities that, and this is across the country, if you live in like an assisted living type of facility, they have several large corporate owners of those facilities across the country have instructed their employees not to lift people when they fall, the residents, they call 911. And so then they have us come and lift them in lieu of their employee doing it, so it prevents their work, it keeps their workers' comp issues down. And so the risk is put on us. So we have worked with the individual residents, we work with the corporate side of things, and at some point, sometimes you have either the corporate side doesn't cooperate or the individual resident refuses any assistance. So how this fee is structured is if you call for lifting assistance and we then enroll, we offer them to enroll in a prevention program where we will send a person from the fire department and a person from the health department to meet with them. If they agree to do it, we will walk them through how to prevent future falls, how to work on balance, how to work on rugs. Maybe they need to see a doctor for medication adjustments. We will help them navigate that, help them get, if there's social services, the health department can help us navigate that. And so if they fall again, this fee wouldn't apply. If they say, I don't want your help, can't come in my house, which we do get some of those people, or it's a corporate side, and they say, well, we're going to keep calling because there are companies in the Milwaukee area that are doing this, then the fee is going to get charged, and then they would pay that fee. It's $200, costs us about $187 to actually perform the service. So that's how that fee is structured.
And just last question, I know the fire department is going to be working on defining that program, like how, when you make that distinction and writing it in policy.
Right.
Will you just provide that, since these go on our books, right?
Yep.
In our ordinance, and so it is a $200 new fee, and just, you'll provide that right up then
Yeah, we're gonna work on that with our staff. We need to work through some logistical issues of, in the field, how that information is gathered, and we're gonna put together a policy as to how it's administered internally, and then work with the company that does the billing. So once we have all that together, then we'll bring that back. The corporate side, we don't have that issue in Shorewood, so it's in another community. We've actually had some movement from one of the corporate issue that we've been having problems with. It's getting better, but we want this to be a preventative measure, so it's not easy to go back and say, hey, let's go back to what we used to do there. So, it's not a revenue source. We're gonna mix, compared to, this is to prevent and get people help that need help.
Prevent injury too.
Right.
Yeah. You're
Yeah,
not,
our
workers' comp.
right, our workers, the biggest injury in our work line is back injuries from lifting. So the risk gets transferred to us, when in reality, in a lot of these places, people are paying sizable amounts of money for lifting facilities.
I just have a question about the drug administration. So are these are administration of these drugs en route to the hospital, and is it separate from what the insurance would cover, or is this strictly for Medicaid?
No, they will cover, so this would be anywhere from when we arrive to when we drop the person off at the hospital. Insurance would traditionally covers